I am 23M. My girlfriend is 21F and told me she was SA'd. Now I'm disgusted when we sleep with each other. Where do I go from here? I want to start by saying in no way, shape, or form do I want to make her abuse about me. I just need help understanding my own emotions so I can be better for her. My girlfriend has had a long history with abuse for her entire life, from having a father who was physically abusive and 2 family members who repeatedly SA'd her. She recently started getting nightmares, so I asked what they were. She revealed to me that when she was younger, she was gang R-worded multiple times over the course of a year and a half by a group of older boys when she was in school at 12 years old. She didn't go into a lot of detail, but she told me some of the things those boys did to her. They would pin her down, take turns using her repeatedly, and at one point they filmed it. I started to feel sick to my stomach because some of those things they did to her, pin her down, pull her hair, choke, spit, spank, these are things she craves when we sleep with each other. She told me that she wants me to do whatever I want to her whenever, and that me owning her turned her on. At first, I loved this. I enjoyed our life in the bedroom, and she always enjoyed it as well. With the new information about her past, I'm starting to feel disgusted with her and myself. I don't understand my emotions. I'm truly terrified. Thoughts that I know are wrong flood my brain. Did some part of her enjoy what happened to her? In that year and a half, were there moments where she would look forward to it? Did it turn her on? When we sleep with each other, is she trying to recreate those moments and feelings with me? Is she envisioning it while we sleep with each other? These are the thoughts that plague my mind. My entire view of the relationship has shifted, and I don't know how to fix it. How can I ask her these things? Would she even be able to understand her own complex feelings about it? I feel horrible for feeling like this. It's destroying me. It's gotten to the point our life in the bedroom has been affected. It'll pop up in my mind when we're doing it, and I'll go completely soft while inside of her. A few days ago, it happened again. We were in the middle of it when she moaned, "Choke me," and her eyes closed and all that. And that was the moment I instantly went soft. All I could think was, is she really in this moment with me, or is she fantasizing about that? I wish I can control my mind. I know it's wrong to think that. Her bringing this up to me has brought out a complex set of emotions I've never felt before and don't know how to process. A part of me is glad she trusts me enough to tell me it's so amazing that I can be that person for her. I love her very much. Then there's the other part of me that wishes she never did. She's extremely insecure about her body. After that moment a few days ago, I haven't slept with her since. We used to sleep with each other every other day at the minimum, and now I just can't. I know it's eating her up inside. She sat me down and asked me if there was anything I could change about her body and what would I change. The moment she asked, I wanted to cry. I knew why she had asked, but I asked her why she would ask anyways. She said that she felt like I wasn't attracted to her anymore. As much as I reassured her I was still attracted to her, it wasn't enough. She broke down crying. This is the same girl who decided to lose 40 pounds when we started dating because she felt like she wasn't attractive enough for me. She tries so hard to be pretty enough for me, but she feels like it's never enough. With her confidence already at such a low, our life in the bedroom is falling apart and it feels like this is the last nail in the coffin. Please, any advice would be appreciated. Edit. I just want to apologize to all the victims who were hurt reading my post. I never wanted to hurt or offend anyone. I'm truly sorry. Having read through so many replies, many attacking me for what was said, others truly giving me solid advice, I realize both she and I need therapy. I'm going to be talking to her soon, and I'll be back with an update. I never realized just how deep trauma goes. I never realized my trauma also affected my thinking when it came to reacting to my girlfriend's trauma. I was assaulted at a young age, and my response to that trauma is the exact opposite of hers. I became dominant and in control. Whenever my girlfriend would touch or even graze that area, I'd immediately move her hands away. My trauma took the form of aversion. Hers did not. Subconsciously, that scared me. I didn't understand her response to it. It was so different than mine. I still have so much to learn about SA, about myself, about trauma, how to heal, and how to cope. Thank you all to the people who gave me advice. We're just 2 people in our early 20s trying to figure out this weird thing we call life. I apologize for hurting anyone. I will keep you all updated. So, seems like the girlfriend developed a CNC kink, and then the boyfriend also developed one, I guess? You know, that type of kink is frequently formed through trauma. Maybe he doesn't know the terminology, maybe she doesn't know, but this sounds exactly like it. And now maybe he's realizing the depths or the formation or what birthed the possible kink that the girlfriend is having, and he's like, oh wait, this is getting a little too real for me. So, but again, like he mentioned, they're both young and then early 20s. They're trying to figure out life. We were all there. Some of us probably still are there. Even when we're older, we don't know how things work. Nobody knows how anything works. Next story. Story number 2. What are your thoughts on breaking up via text message? My 30F boyfriend 42M has been giving me the silent treatment for over 2 days now, and I know he won't pick up the phone if I call. Hi guys, like the title says, what are your thoughts on doing this? Long story short, my boyfriend and I are in a long-distance relationship right now due to his work, and we've planned for months that he was going to come visit me for my birthday this weekend. We're only 3 hours away from each other. We've been together for 8 months. We see each other at least 2 weekends a month, and I just saw him last weekend. He, all of a sudden, was being wishy-washy on coming up to celebrate my birthday with me and wouldn't commit to coming. This is the one day I feel like he should want to spend with me. I spent his birthday with him a couple of months ago, and I would never have heard the end of it if I had not done so. I got upset and left his house early. I texted him to tell him I made it home safe on Monday, and he responded, and that was it. I didn't hear from him all day yesterday, so I called once and texted once and got no response. I haven't heard from him today either. He usually calls 3 to 4 times a day and texts quite a bit. This, however, is about the 3rd time he's given me the silent treatment. I am over the emotional immaturity and childishness, especially for his big age. So, I'm going to break up with him. He also tries to be controlling and has said that it's a red flag to him that I have a lot of friends, and got upset that I got off the phone with him one day because a friend was calling me. We had already talked on the phone 5 times that day. So, yeah, this is just a little bit of what I've been dealing with. Do you think texting would be okay in this instance? I can pretty much guarantee he won't answer my phone call, and I'm done chasing. Thank you. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, OP, if he won't answer your call, it doesn't seem like you have much of a choice, lest you want to do carrier pigeon, or you could go old school and send him a fax. Then user 2 said, you don't want him showing up for your birthday if he hasn't responded in days. So send him a quick text like this. This isn't working. Don't bother coming on my birthday. I won't be here. OP, make other plans. You should not have to deal with such childish behavior. Then OP replied with, oh, trust me, he's not going to show up here. I think a big reason is that he just doesn't want to make the drive. I'm expected to come to him, but he can't do the same for me. He actually said that this past weekend of me visiting him was for my birthday. I was like, what? Anyway, I already made other plans. Update, I'm back. I still haven't heard from him as of Thursday afternoon. So I went ahead and composed a breakup text and sent it to him yesterday. I basically told him that I would have preferred to not do this over text message, but he's given me no choice. I said that I'm tired of him giving me the silent treatment. I'm fed up with having to drive to him more than him to me, and that the final straw was how he was going to ditch me on my birthday. I think I mentioned in a comment on my original post that he was still actively talking like he was coming to visit me last week, and within 2 hours of me getting to his place last Saturday, he ordered me a meal from Uber Eats and said that was my birthday meal. Not sure what changed in those few days, but it doesn't matter. I told him that I wasn't interested in a one-sided relationship where we can't communicate like adults and to not bother reaching out to me again. He uses his phone for work, and I made sure to text him during work hours because he has his phone glued to him then. I waited an hour to see if he would respond, and he didn't, so I went ahead and blocked him. I was sad for a little bit, but what I mostly feel is a sense of relief. I feel like that picture of Nicole Kidman right after she divorced Tom Cruise. I'm a free elf. What's funny is that he was always telling me that the 2 most important parts of a relationship to him were communication and trust. There was one weekend in particular where he told me he was traveling to Green Bay for work and wouldn't be able to hang out. I confirmed the dates with him a few times just to be sure, and he called me a few days before his supposed Green Bay trip and asked me what day I was coming down to see him that weekend. I told him that he told me he was going to be in Green Bay, so I made other plans, and then he hung up the phone on me. That was the start of him accusing me of having too many friends, and that my friends were a priority over him. I called him back an hour later, and he told me that if I hadn't called him back, he was never going to talk to me again. Apparently, the trip got canceled, and I was supposed to be able to read his mind as he never mentioned that tiny little detail to me. His mom also thinks he drinks too much beer, and she had been getting on him about it recently. He got mad at her one day and told me he wasn't going to talk to her for a week. I am not the only person he does this stuff to. This is just how he is. He also came to visit me one weekend, and I didn't have the beer or coffee he liked. I got on DoorDash and ordered them for him as soon as he told me. I apologized for not having them. I just got back from a vacation in New York City and was tired, but the problem was solved within half an hour. He left on a Monday morning and waited until Monday evening to call me crying. Yes, he was actually crying about how I didn't have those things waiting for him before he got there, and how I didn't care about him. Yikes. I can't believe I dealt with him for so long. Regardless, I got gift cards and a cake for my coworkers, and I'm spending this weekend with my friends and family. I appreciate all of the comments and advice from you guys. Have a great weekend. Small update. Oh boy. He sent me a message request on Facebook today. I saw I had a notification from someone I'm not friends with, and it was from him. He said he hoped I had a great birthday and that he just needed a break from everything. I deleted the message and then promptly blocked him. You know, my Facebook account was hacked recently and now it got deleted and now I can't log into it, so I'm really mad about that. But anyway, about the story, good for OP for just realizing this stuff and just not falling for the sunk cost fallacy and getting out of this relationship. Yeah, maybe she was in there for a little too long, but you know, sometimes we're just blind to it and stuff like that. But that is not an adult. That is a man-child. Good grief. You don't, like, this dude ghosted his girlfriend and then I was like, I'm back. No, you're gone. Deuces. This dude was slightly annoyed with his mom and said, I ain't gonna talk to her for a week. Like, what? Like, this is how you, like, deal punishment or reciprocate, like, negative behavior? The ex-boyfriend in this story is laughably pathetic and immature. Like, it's kind of baffling that, like, his sense of justice is, well, I'm not going to talk to you for 1 week for your crimes. Goodbye. See you. But I suppose in the end, his behavior, ironically, has justified his girlfriend never talking to him again. Anyway, next story. Story number 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that my stepdaughter can't return home until she pays back my daughter? I, 30F, have a 14-year-old daughter, Leia. I married my husband, Mark, 46M, 6 years ago. He has 2 children from a previous marriage, Koi, 16M, and Coral, 14F. Me and Mark have the kids full-time, but his kids live with their mom for a few weeks during the summer. They moved into my lake house, which has 5 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms upstairs have bathrooms. My daughter had one of those rooms. But as the girls began high school, Coral began complaining about not having a bathroom and said it's unfair. Mark and Koi told her to stop complaining. Leia said it was fine and asked us if she could turn the basement into her room. I didn't like that idea, but she begged, so I agreed. Turns out my daughter wanted a room makeover, so this worked out. We gave the kids allowance and allowed them to get a work permit. Koi worked at an arcade and told the girls he could get them jobs. Coral refused to work, but Leia agreed. After 5 months of saving her allowance, she was able to buy everything she needed to decorate. Coral never bothered to go down there because she believed it was full of spiders, but Koi was down there every day helping her out. After a week, she completely transformed the basement. She invited everyone down, and it was stunning. I didn't even know that computer towers could be clear. She looked so proud. Coral then screamed that it wasn't fair and that she wanted the basement now. Everyone began yelling at her, but she began crying, and before we knew it, she ran over to the computer and threw the tower on the ground. The glass shattered, and one of the monitors fell to the floor, also breaking. My daughter cried. I explained to Mark that Coral has to pay for this. He said her emotions are just high and that will get situated when everything calms down. I ran to Coral and yelled, saying that she's on punishment. Mark didn't agree, but I didn't care. Coral was unnecessarily crying and ran to her mother's car. Koi was trying to help my daughter, and Mark tried to hand her $300, but Koi explained that Coral caused about $1,000 worth of damages. He said luckily the expensive pieces in the case were saved, but the case itself was about $450 and the monitor was $200. Mark explained that he doesn't have that kind of money, so I said she can't come back until my daughter's stuff is repaired with a sincere apology. Coy agreed, and Mark was upset, saying that he couldn't do that to his daughter. I told him to leave if that's the case. Mark left for a few hours and handed my daughter a check for $1,000. I explained that Coral can't come back if there is no punishment. My husband's ex-wife is saying that I'm banning her from our home because she didn't deserve that bigger space and that we were treating Coral unfairly. Then I said, based off of what she did, that there was nothing unfair about the situation. Then the ex just hung up. Now my husband's ex-in-laws are bombarding him with phone calls saying he is a horrible dad. His sister even said he's being a bad parent and they're best friends, so it's really getting to him. This happened last night and he hasn't gotten up yet. Should I apologize? Am I the a-hole? Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, not the a-hole, but this is the man you chose to be around your daughter? This issue is bigger than his daughter. You need to reevaluate your marriage and go to counseling to get on the same page. Neither Coral or Mark acted this way until Coral started high school. The girls were best friends, and Mark and I always agreed on how to handle the kids. I guess because Coral has never been this mean kid before, he doesn't really know how to handle it. Then user 2 said, unpopular opinion, you're the a-hole. There's obviously more going on than just this incident. I'm sure Coral feels out of place there since you and Leia obviously have a closer bond. Divorce and blending families isn't easy, but I do think that everyone would benefit from family therapy. Seems like Coral is the odd man out and she is struggling with this family dynamic. I agree that there needs to be some type of consequences for her actions, but banning her is excessive. After all, she lives with you, like you said. You'd be kicking out a 14-year-old. Would you kick out your own daughter if the roles were reversed? This is 100% not true. If anything, me and Coral were closer because we have similar interests. In fact, this was a problem when the girls were 10, but everything got solved. Everywhere Leia goes, Coral goes, and vice versa. Me and my husband have been married for 6 years, and she has never displayed this behavior. I would 100% separate the girls. Leia only had one home. Coral has 2. Leia can't go anywhere else but to me. Then in the comment section, OP replied to someone calling her an evil stepmother. A high school freshman shouldn't complain. At her mother's house, she has her own room with a bathroom. Leia was nice enough to switch from the room she has been in her whole life. Coral literally yelled at everyone when Leia didn't agree at first, then threatened to start rumors about her. So we felt helpless and gave in. I'm not about to do it again. She should absolutely be yelled at for doing it a second time. My daughter worked hard for stuff and shouldn't be constantly terrorized for earning it. The girls had the same opportunities. She could have easily decorated her room if she worked with her sister. I hope that if someone damages your kid's stuff that they worked for, that you protect them, not enable the person that does wrong. Update: 8 hours later. I found out the complete story and there was a lot of drama. It's over a boy. So, both my daughters are cheerleaders, and there is a Valentine's Day dance coming up. All of Coral's friends are cheerleaders, and they all date football players except her. So for the past few months, her friends have been trying to hook her up with Brad, but it turns out he is interested in Leia. After all the football games, Brad would talk with Leia. So Coral came up with a rumor that Leia plays Roblox. It's not really a rumor, but Brad found out. So after school a few days before the incident, Coral tells Brad how childish Leia is for still playing Roblox. And Brad says he doesn't think it's childish. Turns out him and his friends play the game, and then invited Leia to join them. Then yesterday, after school in the hallway, Brad had his friends record this big proposal to the dance that included flowers and chocolate, and Leia accepted. Apparently, Coral was crying at cheerleader practice, and Leia went up to ask what's wrong and if she needs anything. Coral and her friends started cursing Leia out, so Leia just backed off. Then this morning, Coral posted on Facebook about how Leia is the favorite child and that she was kicked out of her decorated room in order for Leia to have it. Her mom, Drea, had also posted something similar. Coy didn't want this to ruin Leia's reputation, so he posted everything about their lies. He also posted a picture of the shattered case and explained how everything Coral said was a lie and how Leia was nice enough to give up her bedroom. Drea also called us some horrible names. Then Coy responded that the reason the custody is no longer 50-50 is because Drea's husband hates kids. Apparently, Coral didn't know this, but Drea sent my husband a text saying he knows how her husband feels about the kids being here, so he needs to make up with her and let her come back home. Mark then screenshotted this and sent it to Coral. She came home and went straight to her room. She skipped practice. Leia is on her way, so when she gets home, we will have a family meeting. Update 2. 2 hours after first update, so we had a long talk. Coral came down and apologized to Leia, and she was jealous about Brad. She also apologized to me for lying to her aunt. She believed that Leia got everything she asked for, so I had her explain, and the only thing she said was Brad. As I was about to explain, Mark stepped in and told her that wasn't everything. Mark then explained everything Coral got, which included a room makeover, which Leia had to pay for on her own, a brand new laptop after Leia had to pay for her entire computer setup. He then asked, "Is this really about a guy that she doesn't have anything in common with?" Coral then told us how popular he was, and that because Leia is a nerd, they don't mesh. Other than cheerleading, Leia is in Quiz Bowl and a robot making club. Leia explained now that football was over, Brad was also in these clubs, and so are his friends who the other cheerleaders date. Coral then began crying again because after the Facebook post, her friends explained that their boyfriends don't want to be involved with a liar and advised them to stop hanging out with her, so they didn't sit with her at lunch today. Mark calmly told her that this was her own doing. She broke down and said, "I know." Mark then held her in his arms and apologized about sending her the screenshot and explained that I wasn't the bad guy. She then explained that Drea told her that I forced Mark to get full custody so that we all could have one big happy family, so that along with the Brad situation made her lash out. She then ran to hug me, saying how sorry she was, and looked at Leia and apologized once again. I brought up family therapy and everyone agreed. Coral took the post down already and apologized to Leia publicly. I know things are looking up, but without friends and this situation with her mom, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Oh man, I do not miss high school. Good grief. When I hear stories like this, I just get exhausted. Her name is Coral. Coral, we are the Walking Dead, Coral, but God grief. I will say that I understand that, high schoolers and younger people and all that, there's just a lot of emotions. You don't know how to be a person yet fully and grasp all these concepts and stuff like that. I get that. But at the end of the day, she broke as Coy said, $1,000 worth of stuff. So I feel like she does need to be punished for that. But the punishment probably didn't need to be being kicked out of the house, but it seems like this seemingly resolved itself. Everything came to light, people explained their reasoning and so on and so forth, and recognized their flaws, and they said, all right, let's go to family therapy. And I feel like that's the best course of action. I don't know what's going to happen punishment-wise. Like OP mentioned, now Coral is bereft of friends, so I don't know. Hopefully she can work herself into a better situation, and hopefully the family works better, and hopefully the girls can get along, because ain't nobody got time for this popularity dynamic contest in high school, because once you graduate, it's over. Being an adult sucks. Next story. Story number 4, feeling forced to cancel my wedding due to an awkward situation, and I'm heartbroken. Hi everybody, I'm currently in the middle of planning my June wedding, which has been in the works since autumn. About 6 years ago, I planned a wedding with an ex and hated every minute of it. I swore I would never plan a wedding again after that breakup. Fast forward, and I've met the love of my life, and we are so excited to get married. We have a simple dream wedding, and I finally convinced myself that it would be worth the work to have a wedding day. Wedding planning hasn't been easy, but I grew to really love the things we had in place. We booked a ceremony cocktail hour venue with a gorgeous view of an urban gorge waterfall, and then we would walk to the nearby minor league baseball stadium for our reception in an event space there. We have also booked a photographer, stylist, transportation, hotel, and honeymoon flights accommodations based on this date. The date itself is a Wednesday, so things would be quiet and low-key, and we only invited 30 people. This week, the baseball stadium announced the promotional theme for the night of our wedding reception is Pride Night. As a bisexual person myself, I love how much my community embraces the LGBTQ community, and that we have a Pride Night at the baseball stadium. I've been an enthusiastic attendee in the past. However, this is not a night I would have chosen to have my heteronormative wedding celebration at the ballpark. I feel it would be disrespectful to the community to show up in my white dress with my groom and my wedding party. I don't want to make spectators feel uncomfortable, and I also don't want to feel like I have to tamper down my wedding day to be respectful of this event. I dreamed of taking pictures in the stands and having my whole party walk to the stadium with flowers and decor for fun photos. I feel like these public celebrations will make me feel imposing or awkward now. The baseball stadium has offered to change our contracted date, but obviously it would require a lot of work to move all my other vendors and arrangements. I could also plan a different reception that day, but a baseball wedding was my dream from the start, and I worry I'd be more heartbroken doing something else that day. Not to mention, both these options require a lot of extra work for me that I don't want to add to my plate. The other option would be to elope, of course, but I'm heartbroken that I'd have to give up my wedding day and professional photos over this. I can't believe I put in all this effort and money into a day just to be put into a difficult situation where I have to choose between respecting a community and having my dream wedding. I feel so sad and discouraged. Any advice or opinions would be appreciated. Throwaway account in case this is controversial. Here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, I honestly don't think anyone is going to notice or care about what is happening in one party box. Wedding planning is so freaking hard and detail-oriented, but honestly, innocent bystanders really don't care about your wedding. It's not like they limit admission that day to LGBTQIA+. Go on with your bad self, enjoy your day, and be proud that you found love in this terrible world. Then user 2 said, right? People will probably see the wedding party and be like, oh, look, they just got married and she looks so pretty, and that will be the extent. I don't think anyone is going to be offended or think poorly of you. It's not like y'all chose the theme. Then user 3 said, this is less of a big deal than you think. I go to a lot of theme games, and while the theme is clear, there are plenty of people who just go to go and don't know anything about the theme. It's not like you're going there to shout homophobic remarks. I think it will be fine. Then user 4 commented, yeah, I'm a season ticket holder to an NBA team that has theme nights all the time, and I never know what they are until I show up. And finally, user 5 said, I'm trying to understand what the issue is. Do you live in a community where gay marriage isn't legal? Then OP replied with, no, gay marriage is legal, but in light of a history of being denied that right, it feels awkward to celebrate my straight wedding at a night dedicated to celebrating that community. Update. Thank you to everyone who read and commented on my post yesterday about how the baseball stadium I'm hosting my reception at announced our wedding date is Pride Night. After a lot of heartfelt reflection, we have decided to continue planning our wedding for that day and joyfully accept the coincidence. I also want to apologize if anyone felt my reaction to this news was homophobic or bigoted. I truly felt I was coming from a place of concern from the community, but realize it was from a deeply rooted internal conflict surrounding my own bisexual identity. I wanted to especially thank those who brought bi erasure to my attention. This was a layer of my emotional reaction that I wasn't aware of at first. It's not that I wasn't aware of the issue or that I don't feel I was a part of the LGBTQA+ community before, but I hadn't realized how my own identity felt compromised by marrying someone of the opposite gender at a Pride event. I am working on embracing this, and I am planning on adding some purple, blue, and pink to my outfit for the day. Ultimately, I am excited that I get to marry the person I love on the day we picked, regardless of what other celebrations are occurring that day. I think this will add a fun element to our day that makes for an even better night of celebrating the love we found. I'm especially grateful for this opportunity to grow in my bisexual identity and celebrate that my wedding isn't straight, regardless of how it appears on the outside. And that's beautiful too. Alright, so I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. Sometimes you just gotta step on those eggshells. I'm gonna be brutally honest, okay? You know what I mean? Don't stomp on them. Don't be disrespectful, but you know, she really wanted the baseball wedding, so just go for it, right? And it's like everybody in the comment section mentioned, they're like, I don't think anybody's gonna care. A lot of the people show up to these events and don't even know what the theme is until they get there. Also, they're not going on the field, they're not shouting homophobic remarks, they're in like a private box. So, I mean, yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. But then she also kind of realized her bisexual identity. I mean, she knew she was bisexual, but she embraced it more. I guess that's a better way of putting it. But sometimes, you know what? Just do it because you want to do it. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, you be smart about it, right? Like use nuance. Just, you know, do what makes you happy. Anyway, next story. Story number 5. My former coworkers hired me to work for them, but it was a bait and switch. They fired me, and I'm ashamed. I was recently fired from my job. I never thought I would find myself in this position, and while mentally I am struggling to get past the emotional aspect of it, I know I have to push through and focus on finding another job. My situation was a bit uncommon. A few months ago, 2 former coworkers, Amy and Brooke, reached out to me. I had a great relationship with them and saw them as mentors. The job we worked together at was in, let's say, custom teapot painting. I'm disguising the field for anonymity's sake. I found that it wasn't my strong suit, and it was a very toxic company, so I went to a company where I did teapot painting in-house. I was great at this new job and consistently got great performance reviews in 2 years there. Amy and Brooke then started their own custom teapot company, and they wanted me as their first hire. I turned down the job 3 separate times, knowing this type of work catered to a lot of my weaknesses. Throughout every conversation, they were so complimentary to me, saying that they knew how smart and capable I was, and they hated that my old toxic company made me doubt myself. Finally, they told me that my role would not include managing the custom orders, but would just be painting the teapots. On one hand, I was great at my current job, but I felt like I wasn't being challenged. I looked up to these 2 women, trusted them a lot, and thought working with them would give me the opportunity to grow and develop more in my field. So I decided to take it. Before I officially accepted their offer, I tried negotiating the proposed salary for just a few $1,000s more. Here's the first red flag. They said for that level of salary, they would want me to take on some of the responsibilities of being the point of contact for some of these custom orders, just for 1 or 2 of the projects. I thought it was a strange practice for that small of an increase, but again, they were so complimentary and said that they knew I could do it, and I leaned on the trust I had in them, so ultimately I accepted. Since I hadn't done that type of role for over 2 years, my employment contract stated that I would take on that role for 6 months after starting, and the raise would come when I took the responsibilities on. Fast forward, about 2 weeks into the job, Amy said I was doing such a great job that I would be moved up to the PM role now instead of waiting 6 months, with the salary boost. A few weeks later, they asked if I wanted to take on more, basically back to what my role was at the old toxic company, for an even bigger pay boost. I remember thinking that it felt like a bait and switch, but they made me feel like I really could do this. I thought maybe my imposter syndrome was worse than I thought, and they saw something in me I couldn't see myself. They said they would always be there to support me if I had issues, so I felt comfortable enough and accepted. About a month into the role, things had changed even more. We nearly doubled in size, and everyone else in my role had significantly more experience than me. As we grew, I got the feeling they wanted to take a more hands-off approach. I was the only PM who didn't have a painting partner, so I felt like I didn't have anyone to even bounce ideas off of without being a major inconvenience. One of my projects was for something I had never done before, and I was really in over my head. I was working until 8 p.m. or later and sobbing over dinner every night at the thought of everything on my plate. I ended up making a few incorrect assumptions on that project. The customer never found out, but it did slightly mess up the budget for the project. Here's the thing, while I took responsibility and apologized, I feel like with the information I had, they weren't the craziest assumptions to come to. Maybe I should have defended my decision-making style more so they could have seen where I was coming from, but I didn't want to seem like I was just making excuses, so I apologized and fixed what I could. During all of this, I was also having difficulties on a project where it was the company's 3rd time trying to design for a client who couldn't stop changing their minds. Amy tried, Brooke tried, and now me. It was bad timing, but that project began to fly off the rails right as this issue came up. Initially, they seemed annoyed, but late that week they told me we all mess up sometimes, we still mess up to this day all the time, and we knew exactly what we were getting when we hired you, and this is the company you'll retire from. And then the following week, they fired me. It was a 10-minute conversation, and when I asked why I couldn't be put on a PIP or have a warning, Amy said, "This is really uncomfortable for me, so let's keep this short." They offered me an exit interview, but not with them, with a new admin they had just hired. Right after the conversation, they locked my work computer and said that was that. Since then, I've tried so hard to take my ego out of this situation and look at it different ways. Mentally, I was really struggling. I live alone and have been in complete solitude for months due to COVID, and it had started to weigh on me. An old eating disorder resurfaced due to the anxiety I was under at this job. I feel like I didn't have the option to go into treatment because I couldn't miss work. Ultimately, I know this role just wasn't a fit for me, but I really tried as hard as I could. I wanted to be the great employee I thought they saw me as. Given the history I had with them, I feel like there's an added layer to this firing that isn't there with most, and it's been hard to get over. I feel like a lot of this was imposter syndrome coming true. My confidence in myself professionally has plummeted. I feel scared to apply for jobs if I don't surpass every single qualification. I'm now in weekly therapy for my eating disorder as well as this situation, and it has helped. My question for you is how to handle this during my job search. I was only there for 5 months. Should I leave this off my resume completely, or will that raise more red flags? They did agree in writing to give a neutral reference. What does that mean for the employer side? I know I have to figure out how to explain this in interviews in a matter-of-fact way, and I was hoping you could provide a script on how to do that. Right now, I feel like just a total loser. I still have been keeping it a secret from a lot of my friends and family because I'm so ashamed. Update. I wanted to thank you and the Ask a Manager community for your kind words. I wrote to you in a place where I really did feel so down, and to get so much support from strangers who don't need to be in my corner really made all the difference to me. I actually kickstarted my job search the same week the letter was published, and I am happy to share that I'm in a new role I love that is a 30% increase in pay for a fraction of the stress. Now, on to a couple of crazy updates. 1. Amy and Brooke fired almost everyone else on the team there shortly after I wrote in. My first thought was that they were in financial troubles, but I heard through the grapevine they replaced all the roles and then some of the new people ended up being let go as well. So they've essentially fired every single person they ever hired to do the role I did. I guess the slew of let-go employees turned to Glassdoor to share their experiences, as all nearly identical to mine. I guess I was just the first of many. I still haven't wrote one, but I guess I didn't need to. Then, Amy and Brooke go on to write an absolutely unhinged blog post talking about how they love the negative Glassdoor reviews and go line by line through the reviews talking about how everyone that they let go was simply mediocre, ignoring all the valid criticisms and devastating experiences each reviewer had. It was truly a sight to see. It got sent to me almost a dozen times on LinkedIn from mutual connections. So, overall, the whole experience was a great lesson. I'll never let another person allow me to go against my own better judgment, or blindly believe colleagues and bosses and think that they have my best interest at heart. Hindsight is always 20/20, and wow, I'm so happy I'm done with that place. I don't really have anything for this story. Every now and then I don't have anything. The jokes don't come. The wisdom isn't there. The funny words, the serious words aren't coming from my heart. I don't have anything. If you guys got anything, feel free to share them in the comments. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It has been a long one, but I don't even know how to end the video, guys. I'm losing it. It's 2 a.m. when I'm recording this. I have to go to bed. Will you tuck me in? Don't do that. But guys, thank you all so much for watching the video. I'm gonna get some rest. Bye-bye.